We are Rogue Media Sports.
At Mayo Clinic in Florida, we're predicting the unpredictable, using 3D printed life-size organ models to map out complex surgeries ahead of time. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl. And some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is Matt Mosley alongside Ed Werder, and we have arrived in Southern California, the gorgeous weather, as we are here to cover some Cowboys camp. And Ed, we hit the ground running, got a couple of big interviews to you can hear. And then Ed, boy, you were at your best setting up some other interviews. Ed, tell folks, though, about our team, the Doomsday Hotel. We always stayed there. I've loved this hotel. I have not really wanted to call the hotel out specifically. I noticed on social media you went ahead and did it. But I would say...
I speak the truth. That's what
I would, yes, exactly. I would say that probably if a hotel is going through what our hotel is going through, they might want to give you a little more heads up than we were given.
And if they don't do that, then they might want to give you a few more Marriott points. You know, we've both been Marriott whores. Can I say that? I think sure. I can. I just did. We're Marriott whores, as most people in the sports media are, quite honestly. And so when we choose our hotels, we generally choose that brand so that we can accumulate points and take our families on fabulous free vacations. And the problem with this particular situation, and I don't really think it has anything to do with a huge disparity between the expense reports that we file at ESPN versus the amounts we have to spend with the Doomsday podcast.
Get to this, please.
But the hotel is undergoing a major renovation, and so the entire lobby, the fitness center, all closed down, and basically everything other than the guest rooms are being housed in a ballroom, very small ballroom, and is now serving as the front desk, the gift shop, the restaurant, the concierge lounge, and everything else you can imagine doing in a hotel.
Well, the main thing I would say, Ed, is that the funny thing to me, I wish Frito would come over. Frito, of course, is on campus with the Cowboys, but is everywhere you go in the hotel, you just see the workers carrying out furniture all over
mattresses,
the place.
You're riding the elevators,
mattresses, chest of drawers, and drawers.
So another guest was talking to me about this after breakfast as we walked back across the entire property to our rooms.
Yes.
And he said, they consider this we're out here on points, and they're considered this a Category 6 hotel, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
They classify each one and determine how many points based on the quality of the hotel. And Category 6 is pretty high. I would say this is a Category 6 only in that it looks like it got hit by a Category 6 hurricane.
Oh, gosh.
Like this hotel, if you drive up to this hotel, you think you're in Syria.
Well,
nothing against Syria.
Yeah, no offense to the Syrians. Ed, we're going to have to quickly move away from that comment. And it is time, the excitement over this thing, a couple of the Cowboys, big-time rookies joining Doomsday. We'll get to it. But first, Frito, play the music, please. It is Matt Mosley and Ed Werder, Oxnard, California, and so happy to be joined by our producer, Mark Frito Friedman, of course, Frito Nation Productions and Studios.
On the road.
He has made the way all the way out here to Oxnard, California. And Ed, some big-time interviews being lined up. I think we're safe to say we've booked Scott Linehan today after a nice visit. I think that's the most excited I think Jerry Jones has ever been to see any one of us, but especially you. I thought he was excited to see you today.
Wasn't he? But didn't he take my credential and looked on the back of it for the terms and conditions that might make me
Yeah, he thought
ineligible for access to the sideline.
But he was having fun with that.
He was.
And so Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner, general manager.
He said I was on probation.
Certainly.
And
he
knows a lot about guys on probation.
That's most of the roster. But let's not hurt our chances with him because it looks like we will have him. And unlike Mike Ducey, we're going to agree to his ground rules.
Anything he wants. If we can't talk about the Cowboys, we'll talk about the Lakers or LeBron. Who cares?
We got no principles. But no, it's going to be fun with him. And who else committed to us? The Sackmaster? Sean Lee. And then, of course, pretty much everybody that is anybody on this team. And then you had a good visit with Dak as well. But Ed, I think one of the first things we should do is talk to the man they call Wolf Hunter, or the Wolf Hunter, out here at this camp. It is the linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch, the rookie first-round pick. Ed, I think that's a good first-day get. Are you happy? Are you pleased with that?
Not only did we get him, but then we got another high pick in Michael Gallup, the wide receiver from Colorado State, who you'll hear after this. But, yeah, I think Leighton Vander Esch is a guy who's poised to make a pretty significant impact on this football team early on. I think the surprise of this camp has been the performance of the defense, and the question is, how legitimately good is this group going to be?
Yeah, and then how this first-round pick, how big of an impact will he make, especially with Jalen Smith and Sean Lee all in the mix. Here is our interview with the Boise State great, Leighton Vander Esch, also a wolf killer.
Hunter.
Oh, Hunter.
And killer, as it turns out for the Wolves.
Yes.
He is known as the killer among the Wolves.
Here he is.
Live from Oxnard, California. And Leighton Vander Esch stepping into our plush studios here, following a practice. And Leighton, you've talked about you'd never been to an NFL game. Pretty cool that the first one you ever attended, you actually played in. Was it everything you thought it would be?
Absolutely. It was an absolute blast being out there on the field, and I kind of had to soak it in and realize how special that was. I mean, it was pretty surreal and obviously a special moment for me and my family and all my friends and all that. So, it was awesome.
Is it hard to believe how far you've come from six-man football to the NFL as a first-round pick?
Probably for a lot of other people. For myself, not so much. I mean, it's cool to look back at my story and see where I've came from and everything and the journey that I've been on. But deep in my heart, I would say, like, my whole entire life, I always knew, like I'm always going to put myself in a position to have a chance at least and just do my best in everything possible. So I'm always going to work my hardest to do that. And so now I'm finally here. I mean, this is just the beginning, and now you just got to take off.
What's it been like in the meeting rooms for you as a rookie, learning, I assume, quite a bit from a mentor like Sean Lee?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been extremely intense. But then again, I mean, I feel like I'm picking up things a lot more quick because of him and because of Jalen and because of the guys that I have around me in the linebacker room and the coach like Bloom and Coach Ashard. I mean, they're Coach Marinelli. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on and on. I mean, they really have my best interest in trying to help me in every way they can, and that holds a special place in my heart because I know how much this dream means to me and how much it means to them and their lifestyles and their jobs as well.
We know Sean pretty well, and I didn't ask him about this morning, but we were here for the walkthrough, and he seemed to, those things are usually pretty laid-back affairs, and he seemed to get very mad about something. Is that just sort of testament to how intense the guy is that he would be dropping F-bombs in a, I guess, yeah.
Yep. He's extremely hard on himself, and, I mean, something that, like, a normal player or whatever would mess up on, I mean, they might just brush that off and go on, but, I mean, Sean really, like, takes pride in getting everything to the T because, I mean, if you do that in practice, you're going to be that same way in game. So he makes it extremely intense in that aspect. But then again, there's a reason why he's that good and as intelligent as he is because he's just that hard on himself and his teammates to get the job done and do things right the way.
How significant was it for your mindset and your evolution here with the Cowboys that you picked off the pass today and looked like you might have gone for a touchdown had it been in a game situation?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty neat. I'm waiting to get one of those. So, yeah, it was pretty cool getting one finally and getting that rolling. So, but I mean, just in practice, now it's got to carry over into the game. So, obviously, there's still a lot of work to do, still a lot of improvements on my end, and got to clean a lot of stuff up still, and just keep getting better every single day.
What are they pushing you? What's the point of emphasis the coaches have been making with you coming out of that first game?
Just keep getting better every single day. Like I said, just keep improving. Don't set yourself back. Just keep adding things to your arsenal and taking things here and there and just adding it to your craft and just getting better every single day. Just keep improving.
What's the thing that's surprised you the most about? I mean, like when you got in the game the other night, you prepared, but it's different until you get in there and game action. Did it feel a lot faster to you than at the college level? How different did it feel?
It didn't feel a lot faster at all. Sometimes it almost felt slower, like
really?
Things were in slow motion. But you really in times like that, where it almost seems slower, you just almost got to focus more because as soon as you feel like you can take your foot off the pedal, that's when they're going to get something. And I mean, you got to keep going. You got to make sure your brain's firing, your mind's firing, everything at one time. Otherwise, they're going to catch you off guard, and you can't flinch in moments like that.
Where's this? I can't believe a guy who grew up hunting and fishing and doing all the rafting. I read the other day that cut you had was like the first stitches you've ever had. That's sort of, Did you just not get stitches when you would cut yourself, or you just didn't have that many cuts over the years? Nope. And where is it, by the way? I'm trying to see. Is that it? Okay. They just put, 2 stitches? Okay.
I've got cut probably 100 times that I should have had stitches, and I just never did. So, yeah, I mean, it's just what it is now. I mean, they said I need to get stitches so it didn't keep popping open and stuff in my helmet. So, I mean,
were you trying to just keep playing? I mean, you saw the blood and everything. Were you just
I didn't even know I was bleeding until I was seeing red in my left eye. I was like I noticed my eyebrow hurt, and I was like, man, that kind of hurts. And then all of a sudden I was seeing red, and I was like, I'm bleeding. And I put my glove in my face, and it was just covered in blood. And I was like, whatever. I played the rest of the series, and then went out and. And it was at the end of practice anyway. So,
who's the best Cowboys cut man? Who fixed that up?
One of the doctors did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fowler, perhaps, or somebody like that. Okay.
So, what's it like to be a small town kid, first round pick of the Dallas Cowboys, and see that check, guaranteed money deposited into your checking account back in Boise or wherever it was put into?
I mean,
I know that's not what you're playing for. But.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just bonus. I mean, that's nice. That's all there. But it's just nice knowing that everything's paying off and that all my hard work is finally coming together now and leading to the best program in America. So just knowing that that's all paying off finally and just giving back as much as I possibly can to being successful and being a part of this team.
Do you have any sense of how it's going to work out in terms of playing time or roles between you and Jalen and Sean?
I mean, I'm going to fit everywhere I can. I mean, if I got to play multiple positions right now, I know Mike and Will, so I've been playing. I played Will today, and I've been playing Mike ever since. So just keep broadening the spectrum and getting better at all the positions, because you never know when someone might go down. You got to step up and play that position. So just got to be prepared for all situations.
Now, they used to, when Parcells was here, we were covering the team, and the first-round pick had to bring him water all the time. Does Garrett have you do anything special as the first-round pick, or Sean or anybody? What do you have to do besides maybe carry some pads around?
The linebackers are actually a pretty good group. Sean's kept it pretty easy. Sean just says we got to have water in every single meeting. Don't ever let us run out of water in the meeting. So we always got to bring some water in from the fridges and stuff and do that. And Jalen and other guys want gushers, so I bring in some gushers, a big box of gushers every week, and then Bloom wants sunflower seeds, so I bring in a bunch of sunflower seeds every week too. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Have there been any matchups even on the practice field and maybe in pass coverage where you're like, oh my God, I got to cover this guy?
Yeah, Jeff Lane. It was pretty tough.
What else you have to do?
I was just going to say him.
Former University of Texas great.
It's pretty tough.
It was tough to defend.
Swayman space is difficult. Yeah.
Not next time, though. Okay.
Double move.
Yeah. I mean, he just said it. He's a pretty good route runner, and he's got good speed and knows how to run good routes. So that makes it difficult. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard in every aspect, no matter who you're covering, because every guy's different. So you got to really study and know who you're guarding every single play, because it might be one tight end one play and the other tight end the next play. So you got to know their strengths and weaknesses.
Did you watch, since your size and everything, people constantly bring up Urlacher, did you watch the induction to see what it sounded like and everything?
Nope. I missed that, actually. Yeah, we were pretty busy on that Saturday for practice.
Okay, all right.
Are you flattered by the fact that people familiar with Rod's defense and the heritage of it, that they see you as an Urlacher type player playing that same position in a similar way, and that you're able to cover deep and as a linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, there's big. I guess you could say there's big expectations that way. But I mean, it's nice that people have made those comparisons. But then again, I mean, I got to live up to them, and there's a lot to do on my end, and I just got to keep improving. Like I said, every single day, getting better all the time, and not letting off the gas. Just become the player that I am, the player that I'm going to be, and don't just put too much pressure on myself. Just go out there and play and be me.
All right, last thing, you've been called the Wolf Hunter. Are you good with that nickname? Or are you have you endorsed it? Well, yeah. What was the genesis of that? I know the Cowboy Scouts were using that. That goes back to an Alaskan hunting trip.
Yep. Yeah, Coach Chard actually gave me that nickname in the whole draft process. My name was my whole entire name, Leighton Vander Esch, it was pretty long, and he said for them it was just easier for them to call me the Wolf Hunter, because in my combine interview, I think all we talked about was hunting, almost, just more so as me as a person, and showed him some pictures and stuff of hunting the wolves and everything, and he said it just stuck, and that's how they identified me. Just look at me as something a little different.
There's only one Wolf Hunter in the draft, and so we must be talking about Leighton.
Well, and I don't.
Name, your autographs, LVE, or you should be shortened it, or.
Yeah,
looks like some family friends got the full signature, but some fans just got the LVE, is what I was saying.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta keep things simple. You gotta simplify stuff as much as you can. So, just making it easy and doing that.
Okay, so Ed keeps interrupting me. I'm obsessed with wolves, and I've read, I've studied. I'm serious. As a kid, so did you actually kill one? I mean, I'm sort of going to be mad at you if you... I mean, I thought these were protected animals and everything. Like, in that part of Alaska, you're allowed to hunt them?
In Alaska, they've never been protected, and in the lower 48, they were protected from when they reintroduced them, but then they got way out of hand, and a few years back, they opened up, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, they finally started letting people hunt them, finally, because they were just obliterating the elk and deer and everything, livestock. I mean, one night, there was one night where a sheep rancher had 160 or 180 head of sheep killed in one night by a pack of wolves, and not one of them was eaten. So that just gives you a sense in how out of hand that was getting with them.
Yeah.
And now they're finally letting people hunt them and getting things a little bit more back into control. But in Alaska, they're considered a nuisance up there. And
would those be timber wolves, or what kind of wolf are those up there?
Up there, I think they're timber Canadian wolves up there. So they're a little bit bigger, and then I think in the lower 48 you have the gray wolf, but then they reintroduced. A lot of people say they reintroduced the wrong kind of wolf in like the Northwest.
But he didn't answer the question about.
Well, it was a big issue. That was the thing.
Yeah,
it was a huge issue because they just let it get way out of hand.
Yeah,
but it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago already. I got 2 wolves in Alaska finally. So
what do you? What is that like tracking them? Is that like a nighttime thing or all? I mean, when do you you start out in the morning? I'm fascinated with this. Yeah,
you just cut the tracks and just follow them.
Oh, this is not see, in Texas, we just kind of get in stands and wait for animals to come to us and put deer feeders.
That isn't fun, yeah. It takes the fun out of it.
You actually like to track these wolves.
Wolf hunter, you'd be like the wolf slaughterer.
No, it's all hunting. But I know what you're saying. So you have wolf pelts? Do you have like two? Would you so you skinned them or had them taxidermied or whatever?
Yep, I got a couple made into a rug. So we got a few.
Okay. I want to tweet these out. I want you to tweet the wolf pelt. Yeah, because we're going to talk about the wolf hunter on the podcast. So tweet this out tomorrow so we can retweet that if you have a picture of the wolf pelt, or have your parents take a picture of it. Yeah. Well,
He's the last guy out on the field. I think we should let him go.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah. Leighton, thank you for joining the Doomsday podcast.
And there he is, Leighton Vander Esch, and some interesting things there at the end of the interview. I hope PETA, the fine folks from PETA, don't get involved and get upset. But Ed, you've probably thought I was kidding. I do have a lifelong obsession with wolves. I have been to Glen Rose, to the Fossil Creek Sanctuary, Nature Preserve, to study wolves. They at some point they had some kind of convention.
Are you offended by the fact that even though he did this legally,
I think he took me, and I was serious. I love wolves, and so when I asked him, I'm like, I thought these things are protected. He got a little defensive, like, no, wolves, and boy, that story about the sheep. My goodness.
They had it coming. That's what he was saying.
Well, he actually said they didn't even eat them. I mean,
they just killed them for sport.
That's what they do. They're just out there. I think the wolves have been so wiped out. I think it's time for the wolves to have a little success. And so if the wolves have to kill... Now, I don't like a whole herd being taken out.
Well, after what the Rams did to the Cowboys last year, maybe these sheep deserved it.
That's about right. And it continues to be the revenge of Wade Phillips, the Rams defensive coordinator. But I enjoyed visiting with Leighton. And he's an impressive young guy.
And coming out of the first game, I think one of the concerns people had about him in the coaching community was just how physical he could be. He's a real quickness and speed type player. He can cover tight ends, which is a big part of playing successful defense in the NFC East. But can he be physical enough at that linebacker position, like Sean Lee is, like they think Jalen Smith is going to be? And you talk to people who know this defense well. They say the thing that he needs to do is he needs to get in a more dynamic stance. That he plays too tall, and that he can't get off blocks because he tends to use his elbows and shoulders to engage blockers instead of using his hands to keep people away from him. And so that's something I think people in the league feel he has to work on.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll continue to get better at that. And this, we kind of wondered about how this team would be at linebacker, and now it seems to be a team with some strength. And boy, even the linebacker that they brought in kind of a nothing free agent deal they did. That linebacker looked good the other night. Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas.
He had a turnover, but it does like one
48.
One of the downfalls of this team last year was what happened to them when they lost Ezekiel Elliott to the suspension. What happened? Their inability to replace Tyron Smith at left tackle and function on offense, and their inability in recent years to win without Sean Lee. And so I think that's what they tried to do in this draft, was protect themselves in those areas, starting with Leighton Vander Esch. And at the very least, he's maybe had an effect. His presence alone has had an effect on Jalen Smith. I don't know that anybody's been more impressive so far on either side of the ball at this point in training camp than Jalen Smith has been.
And I thought that was kind of cool today when the Leighton Vander Esch has been running with the second team. And when he made that pick, did you notice one of the first people to sprint out there and celebrate with him was Jalen Smith? And you could be resentful and say, oh, this guy's first-round pick, he's probably going to replace me, all that kind of stuff. But Jalen Smith. So, Cowboys might have a good problem. How do we get Vander Esch, Smith, Lee all on the field? And then if Lee, like he has for a lot of his career, has injury problems, maybe they can back it up. Boy, Sean Lee, by the way, we'll talk to him tomorrow. Very angry man. He showed up he wasn't pleased with himself, something he did during the walkthrough today. Some expletives were dropped by him.
I think he was upset that the period ended with the offense committing 2 fouls, and so the defense didn't get its 2 reps. is what I think he was upset
well, I'm
about.
glad you got to the bottom of that. I just thought it was a walkthrough. I was over there looking for another muffin. I was not paying much attention. I'm glad you have. Now, Ed, I think it's interesting. One of the things we tried to do earlier today, we'll take you behind the curtain. We'll let you know, by the way, when we get big names, and those are on the way. We'll also let you know when people just kind of slip away from us. And Tavon Austin, elusive on the field and after practice. Twice now, we've tried to book Tavon, thinking, hey, you got a veteran receiver. They're going to try to see what they can. Newcomer. Folks want to hear from Tavon. Today, Ed, I think you kind of took the lead and said, Tavon, we'd like to do something with you. And boy, it was not like with a smile or anything. This was I
got the Heisman pose.
I got to get treatment. I'm getting the heck out of here.
And the last time he said he had to get a drug test.
He did.
So this guy's got a lot of responsibilities off the football field that he's got to.
But I tell you, Michael Gallup hung around, a third-round pick from out of Colorado State. Ed, you went to school in Colorado. You're familiar, and in fact, you have a second or third home, I think, in that area where this youngster went to school. And he's from Georgia. And, boy, I messed up because I'd heard him say something about Monroe, and then I thought he moved to Louisiana, and you'll hear that kind of screwed us all up, but as I tend to do. But, Ed, I like, and we'll hear him from a minute. You talk about and now you were a little surprised at how slight he was. He's a tall enough guy. I mean, he's as tall as I am. I'm 6'1", but he doesn't have much size to him. I thought he was a big old physical guy.
That's the way people talked about him, and they talked about Des Bryant in the same way. And maybe my reference point is a little different than everybody else's because I covered Michael Irvin, and so that's kind of always to me been the definition of a big physical receiver. And then you talk about the freaks like Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson; those are completely different guys. But I never thought Des was anywhere near the size that Irvin brought to the field. And I think Gallup right now is a smaller player than Dez was, but they do believe that he can make up for the absence of Dez in many ways outside. And after we do this interview and people hear from him, I'll tell you what the Cowboys saw in him and what they've seen in him so far.
All right. I think for most part of camp, before that game the other night, he had been kind of at a canter. And then I think the other night he had a full gallop.
Oh, my God.
Here's Michael Gallup.
And it is Cowboys Training Camp Doomsday podcast has arrived. Michael Gallup, third-round pick for the Cowboys out of Colorado State, joining us. Our first interview, by the way, that we've done since we arrived at camp is you. And congratulations, by the way, preseason, one of the guys to emerge the other night. How rewarding and fun was that to get out there and score your first touchdown?
It was definitely an exciting time for me. I didn't even know what I wanted to do for a celebration. I guess I just went back and dap up all my teammates. But all the praise I got from my family and friends back home, it was well worth it.
What was it like in the film room going over that play?
In the film room, there were some things that I need to work on, but at the end of the day, coach said you caught the ball, you ran for a touchdown, so it was a good job.
Did you know that ball was coming your way when you saw the coverage?
Yeah, I saw the safety. He was inside. If you got one-on-one, most of the time you're going to get the ball.
Mike Shanahan used to tell the Bronco receivers, if you can't beat one-on-one coverage, then you can't play. You got to wash cards or something. Yeah, because they don't ever not cover you. So that's as good as it gets is one-on-one.
Yes, sir.
What's it been like as a rookie coming in here and trying to win the confidence of your teammates and especially your quarterback, Dak Prescott?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. If it was easy, everybody could do it. But I've been coming in here and doing what I'm supposed to do, getting in my playbook, knowing where to line up and stuff like that. You do those little things right, then they'll start trusting you to do the bigger things. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Michael, who were the guys as you were coming out of high school and then into college that you tried to emulate? Were there any NFL receivers that you really loved watching or tried to pattern your game after at all?
Honestly, I didn't even really watch the NFL that much. I didn't watch too much of it, but if there was one, it definitely had to be Megatron. Calvin Johnson. He just plays like an animal out there. He's big, strong, fast, goes up for just about every ball. So if there's anybody, it would have been him.
But you don't have quite that physique, it doesn't seem like. Not many receivers do. Maybe Julio Jones, but that's pretty much it.
That's about it. You can wish for it, you can want it, but at the end of the day, you got to work with what you got.
What is it you think in terms of what you've got right now? What is it you think you do best at this point?
Best at this point, I would definitely say just being an aggressor. Going to get the jump ball, winning most of the 50-50 balls, and then blocking in the run game.
You put up, huge numbers in college, but when you start coming out here and learning this offense and learning the routes, how different is it? Like how many different things have you already had to add, and has it been a ton to learn, or has it not been maybe as huge of an adjustment as you thought?
It's definitely a big jump. You gotta really, really listen in the play in the huddle. The plays are a lot longer. There's certain things that you gotta listen to know, and then when you actually go out there and line up, your route can change, but between 3 different routes depending on what the coverage is. So there's a lot more things you gotta look at. But at the end of the day, football is football.
Were you? I guess Dez was released before you were drafted. Were you? Would that have been a guy you'd like to have been out on the field with as a teammate? Because you have similar types of games, it seems like.
Definitely. If you could play with a great, or you can learn from a great, that's a blessing. I didn't get that opportunity, but if he was here, I'd be following in his footsteps just the same.
It seems like, with few exceptions, and maybe Michael Thomas in New Orleans is the best example of all, rookie receivers have not generally had a huge impact. Why do you think that is, and how do you ensure that doesn't happen to you?
Honestly, I'm not too sure, to be honest. If a vet, doesn't, show you the ropes, because he doesn't have to, because you're coming in and technically take his spot, or at least try to. If they don't show you what you need to be doing, some of these rookie wide receivers just get off track. I just got to stay on my course and keep doing what I'm doing.
Who has been, like you say, it's not like there's just a ton of veterans. Hearns has been around a little bit. Tavon, who would you say has been the best about taking you under their wing and trying to kind of show you the ropes? Has there been anybody that's really stood out for you?
Honestly, in our not my rookie room, but in our wide receiver room, I think just about every single vet has taken a rookie up under their wing, to be honest. There's nothing that we don't say in those meetings where, a vet might tell us to do something different, or even when we're on the sideline, they're always trying to help us out. So I think everybody in our group is doing a great job of that.
Do you sense, Michael, that, a lot of times people say, well, rookies, you'll work your way in and then start eventually, hopefully. Do you sense this is a pretty wide open competition, that you have an opportunity to kind of, fight your way into the starting lineup for this team?
Definitely. There's a lot of spots that need to be filled. You go out there and do what you're supposed to do, then you might find yourself in that starting spot come September 9th.
What impression has Dak made on you in terms of the leadership he's demonstrated and his poise as a young quarterback?
Definitely, he wants to compete. He wants to win. When we go in the huddle, he's loud. He's always making sure that you know what you got. And then, he's assertive with everything he's doing. He's doing a fantastic job. I'm glad he's my quarterback. Looking to, have a good season.
Sanjay Lal, the new receivers coach here, has some unusual techniques, I guess, to work with you guys on. And I guess the one we've all seen is carrying the bricks across the field at the end of practices. How do you benefit from that? Strong hands, I assume, is the goal in that particular endeavor?
When you go out there to, you're not making a body catch, you're going to catch it out there with your hands, you're mostly using your fingers. So that's what that drill is really trying to help us with. Sanjay's not going to tell us to do anything that ain't good for us, so we all do it.
Had you ever, worked in building or anything? Had you ever had to carry bricks in the past?
Yeah, I have. I've had to carry bricks, on construction sites and stuff like that with my pops when I was littler. But
was this in Georgia or Louisiana?
It was in Georgia.
What were y'all building? Just houses, or?
He was just doing construction on houses and stuff like that. So there was a bunch of stuff that I had to clear out. I wasn't really building anything. I was really moving the junk out of the way.
Little did you know that he was helping you as a wide receiver, moving those bricks around. Where did Dak take you guys, or where did y'all meet him? Didn't you get invited to?
We went to Orlando.
Oh, is that right? Oh, did y'all use the Wide World of Sports complex, or okay? What was that pretty cool? A lot of times veterans end up with a quarterback, but when you got the invite, how important was that from a bonding experience and that kind of thing?
I mean, that was very important. You know, if you're the only rookie that gets called up with the vets, you know, they want something from you. They want you to, you know, do something great. And that's what I was trying to do. You know, I went down there, did a couple workouts with them, you know, and then we came back up here and got to work.
Did you have time to go to the Magic Kingdom or Epcot or anything like that?
Nah, we ain't had time for that.
Michael Irvin is a guy who was obviously a great Hall of Fame receiver here, won 3 Super Bowls, still takes kind of an ownership role in some regards with players. Has he interacted with you at all in terms of, you know, what he thinks you need to work on or giving you any keys to success early in the NFL?
Yeah. When we were back in OTAs, he came up to me afterwards and he had told me, he's like, if you know that you're going to have good and bad days, you're going to be just fine. And you know that I took that and ran with it because I've had bad days, I've had good days, but, you know, I knew they were going to happen. So, you know, I kept my head level. So that was the biggest thing he told me.
All right, well, we appreciate it. What's your biggest thing off the field, by the way? What are you into? I mean, coming from Louisiana, did you do any fishing or anything like that? Well, I know, but you moved to Monroe, I thought you said. Or is that Monroe, Georgia? I overheard. See, that's what I get for eavesdropping.
And
when they said Monroe, no, I can fishing, I think, is pretty safe in Georgia. What do you do, hunt, fish, or anything like that?
I fish a lot.
Okay.
I fish a lot. You know, I catch crappie, bass, catfish, all of it.
No trout, no fly fishing in Colorado?
I don't do that. That's too much work.
Now, did you grow up a big Bulldog fan, or did you like Georgia Tech? What was your team growing up?
I like to play the sport. I didn't like watching it. I like to play it. You know, I didn't really have a team or anything like that.
Okay.
Great last name for a wide receiver, Gallup, I think.
I think it's an awesome name. Have you gotten a nickname yet here? Has anybody come up with anything good? Did you have one in college?
Nah, if anybody called me anything, it was just MG.
Okay, we'll work on that. Have you ever heard of the Galloping Ghost?
I've heard that plenty of times, but that's not really a good one.
Oh, sorry. Well, no, we can, but I think we could play with that.
Galloping Ghost, you know, everything got to do with Gallup.
Uh-huh.
They all right. They're not great.
Okay. Well, we'll go back to the drawing board and see what we come up with.
Thanks, Michael. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, there he is, Michael Gallup, the Doomsday Podcast. And there he is, Michael Gallup from Colorado State. And Ed, we attended Jason Garrett. I thought Jason was pleased to see us arrive at camp. I think he said, hey, it's the Brain Trust or something like that when he saw us. But I thought that was interesting. It was a great moment for the young Gallup to have the touchdown. But Jason Garrett mentioned a little bit of a negative that it may be the first part of that particular play.
Yeah, I don't know that he's ever going to have an easier touchdown. I mean, he was matched up against a former first-round draft pick in Jimmy Ward, who didn't play the ball very well once it was in the air. But Garrett did say, even on the touchdown, he said that Gallup did not get a good release, and the early part of the route wasn't what they wanted it to be, but he hung in there. It's a kid who's made a lot of mistakes, as rookies do, but he always plays with the same spirit every day. And he said, hey, he was physical throughout a lot of downs in the run game where he got his guy and got him to the ground, and he showed a willingness to be physical in that aspect of the game, which is obviously critical to the Cowboys, who are going to want to be a run first, intimidating type of run offense like they were, when Zeke was a rookie and they went 12-4. And as far as what they saw in him, a lot of people were surprised that the Cowboys took Leighton Vander Esch in the first round because they could have had their choice of any receiver that they wanted in the draft. And, they had released Dez Bryant. And so a lot of people thought they'd take Alabama's Calvin Ridley. And here's what I was told about that decision, that they really liked Gallup's playmaking ability at Colorado State, that he could make plays at all 3 levels and make difficult catches. He had an ability to beat press coverage that for a young guy is really impressive right now, that he does it naturally, and they think he'll get even better in that regard with coaching. They said, hey, Ridley is a faster player, but he's not as strong. Gallup is a better NFL body type to be an outside receiver in the NFL, whereas they see Ridley as more of a slot type player. And obviously they have Beasley and they have Tavon Austin for that role.
Yeah, they do, and Tavon Austin continues to be, he was pretty impressive in that game the other night, and we'll see if we can corral him at some point. If you blow us off twice, we may just blow him off. He'll probably the last day try to come up and get on, and I think I'm just going to say...
He's gone from... He came into the league as a high first-round pick, and he got traded for a sixth. Do we need to beg a guy like that to do an interview with us?
I'm going to continue to, yes. I think the answer is absolutely yes. A couple of nuggets from practice that I want to share with our folks. The Doomsday Nation, we like to call them. And by the way, signing up in droves, we really appreciate it. And a lot of people, what I do is just kind of grab people's phones. A lot of people have those iPhones. I just grab it. It's really easy to subscribe for free, and we're starting to really build that base. And a lot of people asking about it. Okay, here are the nuggets, I would say, from this is our first full practice to witness since we've been out here. I would say Lance Lenore continues to impress me. The wide receiver number 14 made a nice catch today. Makes catches in traffic. Has good hands. I also Terrence Williams made a really nice catch across the middle. Dropped one today, but I think he's a guy who expressed that he misses Dez and misses his voice. But I still think that a guy like Terrence might be able to step up and grow a little bit more. With the absence of Dez to a certain extent. So, and I think he still feels like, hey, I need to say nice things about Dez or he'll tweet about me.
You know if they let him ride a bike on the campus here at training camp, or do they make him walk?
Man, by the way, there's a scourge out here. In Dallas, it's the bikes. Out here in Los Angeles, this front page of LA Times today, Saturday, was in Santa Monica especially, these things called the Bird brand of electric scooters. And people are doing things to them and throwing them in the water, throwing them in the ocean, burying them in the sand. They hate these things because they're just kind of coming in and out. Haven't really made it down here to Ventura.
It's a little motorized scooter.
Motorized scooter is exactly what it is.
I think they're doing that in Dallas, too.
Let's keep Terrence away from that.
A little harder to throw them in the ocean.
That's right. Throw them in White Rock. Anything to jump out at you from practice? Anything you kind of witnessed today that you want to share?
Well, this was Sean Lee's first full practice. I think that's always worth noting. And like you said, he's scheduled to interview with us tomorrow. And Randy Gregory continues to make progress in his comeback from being suspended. He got to the point where today he was actually involved in doing some of the individual drills.
Yes.
And my understanding is tomorrow he's going to be involved in the contact phase. Talking to people close to him, it sounds like he's not going to play in this week's preseason game, but that he could play in the third preseason game. They clearly need to get him on the field and start making an evaluation of what kind of player they think he can be and whether he can win a spot on this football team going forward.
And as you shared recently on a Doomsday podcast, that he had gotten all the way down to 198. That's a weight I'm dying to get down to. But it was back up there and now weighs, I don't know,
240s, he reported in the 240s, and that's light for a defensive end.
He looks light to me, but part of that's because he's an angular guy, tall, angular, long, lengthy man. But the thing I like about him, and if he could ever stay off the ganja, is I love the fact that, like those Giants teams, those Super Bowl teams, man, they were drafting guys, Jason Pierre-Paul, they had Justin Tuck. Everybody they would draft back then, after Strahan, of course, Kiwanuka, had the same exact body type. And he has that kind of body type. Now, we'll see. We'll see if he... And tomorrow, by the way, we'll talk to the one of the leading sack artists in NFL. We'll have the sack master himself join us, and that'll be good. DeMarcus Lawrence.
Oh, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, no, sack. This is the current Cowboy.
The current 94.
All right, well, hey, it was a good first day. I think it was a good effort. We're going to just kind of build this thing up. We got some big-time guests
Gregory's
going.
94, Lawrence is 90.
And
that's my bad. I want to clean that up.
What's
on
that?
the way out. I just cleaned it up. That's okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
good.
Run us out of here.
And a couple of things I wanted to mention. Thank you to Hodges Capital. Unbelievable, Ed. The partners that they are and allow us to be out here and what they're able to do and have some of the most successful mutual funds out there in the whole market. And so I'm telling you, and I'll share all this as we kind of go along in this season, but when you're talking about where to put your money, and I'm not even talking about, now they do have some high wealth folks, kind of like you, Ed, but even guys like Frito and I, these are folks we can put our money with, grow it, and it's remarkable what they've done. For many years, they were known as the Hodges Fund, and now known as Hodges Capital, and the mutual funds they have. There's a reason, CNBC, you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
There's a reason they get Craig Hodges on there. Like, Craig, come up here and tell us about all this stuff. I mean, can you imagine if they put us on that channel? Would we know anything? I mean, would our wolf hunter stories go over well there? The Hodges brothers, Clark.
I may need
and
to
Craig.
call the Hodges brothers because I may need to delve into some of that money I was saving for retirement here pretty soon.
You probably, Ed, you have one of the best deals going, so we won't talk about your deal. ESPN, thank you for continuing to pay old Ed, and it is the Doomsday Podcast live from Oxnard, California. Good night, everybody.
Christmas lights are shining, stockings have been hung. You're praying for your daughter, lighting candles for your son. They're living in the city now, you don't see them anymore. This year will not be like the ones before. And the streets are all but empty, the bars have all shut down, and it's hard to find a friend inside this godforsaken town. That emptiness it feels from your head down to your toes. I'm sorry, baby, that's just the way it goes. Once you were a young girl with lovers by the score, money by the handful, you never wanted more. But they tend to leave you as time has its way, and they leave behind little mouths to feed and raise. And the days go by so slowly when it used to go so fast. Whiskey does not taste as good when you only pour one glass. There's just no way to know which way the cold wind blows.
Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl. And some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.